Hey Montreal, how y'all feeling right now? A little bit better, all right. Now see, when I was growing up in Vancouver, British Columbia, I thought I had a really good idea of what the developing world looked like. I thought I had it all figured out about the third world, right? We see the commercials on TV, we see the photos in National Geographic, right? Well, it wasn't until I started traveling, it wasn't until I started living in these communities with these people that I recognized that it doesn't matter where around the world you're from, people are people. And the people I've met on my travels, they live and they breathe and they walk and they talk and they dream the same way that we do. And they have their own thoughts, their own opinions, their own beliefs, their own perspectives, the same way that we do. And I want to share their stories. I think it's very fitting that today's theme for today's TEDx conference is the spark. And see, when people talk about international development, when people talk about my field, people say international development will never really change the world unless there's huge movements, unless there's mass amounts of money being poured into, unless they have the backing of the World Food Program and the World Health Organization and the United Nations. But coming from someone who works in international development, I can tell you that international development, the very core of it, the very core of changing the world, it starts with individuals. Individuals like you guys, individuals like me. And see, individually, we all just bring something very small, right? Everyone brings something very small, but when you combine small things together, it multiplies to create something much more powerful. The small thing that I bring is I like to share stories. And I like to share stories through my poetry. How many of you guys ever heard of slam poetry before? You guys are pretty aware of it? Oh, cool. I mean, just 2 weeks ago, you guys were hosting the Canadian Festival of Spoken Word right here in Montreal, so that's pretty cool. Now, with spoken word poetry, with slam poetry, I like to share stories. And I use slam poetry to be a voice, not just my voice, but more importantly, to be a voice for the people around the world who I've met on my travels who don't have their own voice because they're currently held down by oppression and child labor and lack of access to education and malnutrition and not enough clean water. So I like to use my voice to share their stories. And I want to share a story with you guys today, a story about how I finally woke up and decided that I wanted to make a difference in the world. But to do this, to share this story, I need you guys' help. Whenever I clap my hands like this, I want everyone to shout, "Wake up." Okay, let's try it out. Wake up. Nice. Okay, let's try that again. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. So I spoke to God in a dream one night. I saw him half bent over on some burnt-out, broken-down Broadway Street bench, humming soft hymns to himself while sipping communion wine out of a round paper bag bottle. "Hey, God," I said, "what's got you down?" You see, I'm not used to seeing the divine frown, especially not with his eyes fixed firmly on the ground, as if he were too tired to even look at me. "Hey, God," I said, "what's got you down?" God coughed, scoffed softly, brushed his sweater off, and stood up. Then he took me by surprise, looked me in the eyes, grabbed my arm, squeezed it hard, and said, "Chris, let me show you. We're in Sudan, watching blood-stained sand as man kills man. This isn't the way things were planned," God tells me. "I planned it to be something better," God tells me, "but you sat back. You sat back as gunmen and blackjacks blazed guns and pushed packs, knifing backs, burning shacks, raping girls. And you sat back," God tells me, "as kids soldiers dropped their pencils to pick up rifles, rifling through their canvas pack sacks to find stacks of dynamite to strap to their backs, blowing shards of sharp metal and pieces of hot glass into the souls of their countrymen in this war for Sudan. Meanwhile, you just sat back," God tells me. "That's why I need you to stop dreaming. I need you to stop sleeping because there are things to be done." God leans in close. "Chris, that's why I need you to wake up. We're in Cambodia, watching 14-year-old kids work 14-hour days, stitching shoes to bring home a tenth of minimum wage to feed their 7 brothers and sisters. This isn't the way things were planned," God tells me. "Some days I wish I could give them the courage to stand up and tell Nike, 'You just do it.' But I can't do that while you do this," God tells me. "That's why I need you to stop dreaming. I need you to stop sleeping because there are things to be done." God leans in close. "Chris, that's why I need you to wake up." I'm standing in a schoolyard in Canada. It's raining hard, but all I can see is this 14-year-old girl walking slowly away from me. Her name, well, that's anything you want it to be, God says softly. "That's why I need you to wake up because there are things to be done. There are wars to be won for she. For she is that quiet classmate sitting next to you in math class, practicing Boy Scout knots on necktie nooses in preparation for what's to come. And she is that girl, so starved for affection that she sits carving rejection into her arm like an amateur tattoo artist. And he's that boy who faces up to his father's fists with all the fearlessness of a fighter pilot. That boy who recognizes that his father's need to be violent stems from a father who was always too silent. And this is for the father who dragged himself out of bed at 5 to drag his son to hockey at 6 and drag his daughter to swimming at 7, dragged from a cigarette at 8 for punching the clock at 8:30. For the man who returns home at 8, tired and dirty, who slams his wife against the wall because supper isn't ready. And this is for the wife who hasn't finished preparing supper. For the mother whose soul is as strong as a boulder. She carries the weight of her family on her shoulders. And this is for the man whose heart is as hard as his liquor. The only thing stronger than his fists are his liver. That's why I need you to... God screams at me, I need you to... God shouts at me, Chris, I need you to wake up for all the little ghetto ballers who gave up running fast breaks to chase fast breaks for fast dollars. I need you to wake up for all those little wannabe rappers who gave up writing lists of raps for a list of rap sheets. For those who wander the streets looking for love in all the wrong places. For those who roam this globe wondering what love's faces. That's why I need you to. God whispers at me. And I know these days might seem pretty dark sometimes. Some days I wake up and just pray for that day to be over. But other days I wake up and remember that I am a miracle. As are you, formed by a creative hand or the Big Bang. And regardless of where you stand on that issue, recognize that your muscle, bones, and tissue form an incredibly intricate mass of assets just waiting to be unleashed upon this world. So live your life by 4 words, God tells me. Love, joy, pain, and hope. Love because it binds us. Joy because it finds us. Pain because it blinds us, but hope. Because when time finally winds up in your existence, recognize that persistence through the struggle is what finally brought all y'all through the trouble. See, I don't want to be the old man on my deathbed who never learned how to live. No. I want to be that great-grandfather who died skydiving, who always knew how to give, who always knew how to laugh, who always knew how to make others laugh, who always knew how to hold someone's hand, so that one day, when I make it to the promised land, I'll look St. Peter straight in the face and demand, damn, let me in, man. I got a date with God in a minute. I brought the beers. It'd be nice to finally kick back and have a cold one, because, see, I sure took the long road to get here. And when I reach that place, when I'm done this race and finally get to see him or her face to face, yeah, on that day, I know God will finally look up from his bent-over position on that burnt-out, broken-down Broadway Street bench and say, Chris, I'm so glad that you finally decided to. Wake up. Thank you guys so much.